I would like to take this time to say a few words about Kujo Kiryu. You know him better around here in the hood as Bakuso Bike Man. I remember when I discovered the truth about Bakuso Bike Man because I was like, holy shit, the rider is the damn bike. How the hell did I watch all of these episodes of this amazing ass TV show and not realize the rider's the damn bike? You would have thought someone as smart as me would have been able to put that together. But those were my legitimate feelings on, oh shit, the rider is the bike. And I'm glad that we had a character like Kiryu to give us that. The thing is that at his end, he ran up against the brick wall. That is God. We also know him better as Kuroto Don because he a straight monster, because that's just what it is. We will talk a little bit more about that later. But I would like to say at this time, I thank you for your heroic sacrifice, Bakuso Bike Man. We will miss you until we know what the show is going to do and somehow bring you back toward the damn end or use it to give Emu a power up at some point because, you know, that's just how TV shows work when you're trying to sell toys. Regardless of all that, again, I just want to say to you, Kujo Kiryu, a.k.a. Bakuso Bike Man, rest in power, man. Rest in power. Hey, yo, what's up? You know it is the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And of course, I'd like to welcome you guys back to another installment of Triple the God Speaks on Kamen Rider X8, episode numero 12. My Spanish is on point. Yo, I knew this was coming. Like, I'm for real, and I'm not sitting up here saying this from just like a cocky point of view, but given how the show was moving and how quickly that the plot was just, you know, burning stuff up and trying to build this world to do something like that, somebody had to die to forward the plot. And when you think about it, it wasn't no way in the hell it was going to be Hero. And I don't think that at this juncture, killing Tiger would have an emotional impact for your main character. But when I think about it, is that the flags have been all over the place since the beginning, knowing that this was going to be the dude that ate it because he's the coroner, he deals in death, so yeah, he's probably the choice of character you kill because of reasons. They did everything they could to make sure that him and Emu had an emotional bond so that his death meant something. Because, again, like I say, if that was Hero or Tiger landed on the ground, it's that the scene wouldn't have been able to play out the exact same because he doesn't have those types of relationships with those two characters. But with Kiryu, he did. And because of that, that moment had meaning, had gravitas, and is now going to propel us into this next arc of Kamen Rider X8. Given that, I do have a couple of questions. Level 10, we just hopped from level what? 3 to level 10. I want to know what, well, you know what? You can't really ask that because he's the god. Of course, he invented all this stuff, so of course he got some secret stuff. So now he using the Buxter transformation thing to activate Dangerous Zombie, and I'm just like, overwhelming power. So you already know what that means. How long till Emu gets a power up to counteract that? 2-3 episodes tops. Because we at about the time where usually you get a power up at this point. Because last year in Ghost, it was Tocon Boost, but they borrowed that from the movie, so I have no idea what they gonna do for X8 at this point, but you gotta know, again, I'm saying 2-3 episodes tops, 4 pushing it. Then he get a power up to counteract whatever this level 10 is. So it'll be interesting to see that dynamic in play. What's up with Masamune, dog? Like, I understand that Kuroto has to have a daddy because the last time I checked, when a man loves a woman very, very much, they lay down and rub bodies. And I'm just like, the birds and the bees right now? No, but I wonder. It's like it's some story there. Whatever this has to do with Emu aside, there's some story there about why Daddy's in jail and why the God is doing what God do. You know what I'm saying? So I want to know what's up with that. Who is Nico Saiba? Who is she? And what is her beef with Emu? I can only assume that she is one of the new henchmen for God, of course, because that is logical, makes sense for a thing that you're going to do, because you need to introduce new characters to forward the plot, because you know it is what it is with that. And the question: how will Emu deal with riding public transportation now that his bike is dead? That's the real question. This dude now has to ride the bus to rider fights now because the God rider kicked your bike to death because you know it's a data and then why. So I can't even finish making that joke. But seriously, I do wonder what's going to happen because the gamer driver and the gas hat didn't disappear. So you have to wonder, are they going to find someone who is qualified to replace Kyria? Hell, this is Kamen Rider. Is Kyria even fucking dead? No one knows. Nobody. I'm like, you know what? I don't even know where I was even finna go with that. But you really gotta wonder, is that if the show wants to be taken seriously with that, they gonna make Kyria's death stick. He's not coming back. You might see him in a one-off movie as a guest cameo or something, but if they really want this to stick, he gonna stay dead. I don't think him being scattered amongst the pixels or whatever is going to give Emu whatever power up is coming to counteract Dangerous Zombie. We talked about that earlier. But again, if the show wants to be taken seriously, they've got to make Kyria's death stick. They've got to make his death stick, and they've got to get somebody that gash at to prove that the show is trying to move on and move forward past this plot point. It's going to be interesting to see how the show handles the dynamic, because this is a dynamic that shows use to take stock and use it as a pushing point forward. Not that XA needed that in any way, but when I think about it, is the show did kind of need that, because again, given how the plot has worked for the past 12 episodes we've all sat down and watched, is killing a character is a thing that at some point was going to happen. I didn't really think this was going to be a show where nobody was going to bite it. Hell no. Somebody was going to have to die, because we had to sit up here and prove the point that if you lose all, because if your rider gate go to zero, you die for real. They had to sit up here, and it's like that was something they've been teasing the whole time as what happens if. Well, now you know. It's game over. You don't get a Street Fighter countdown. No, your ass is just dead. DED dead, you're done. So now rider fights are going to mean a lot more, because now there is inherent risk and danger. Not that there always wasn't, because it was heavily implied, but now the riders in the show know that this shit is for real. We, as those who viewing it, know this shit is for real. So guess what? It's fucking for real, folks. That's just what it is. So again, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see not only how they're going to up the ante when it comes to plot, but see how the characters in kind respond to the way that the plot is going to work now. If you even caught all that. But yo, that's an episode, man. Actually, before I skip to that part, one more thing that I just thought about, and not even in my uncle voice because the video's not even over yet, so I can't use my uncle voice. With XA using Shakahiri Sports, can other riders use other gas shafts like that? A show that the show is kind of answered, but not really. You know what I'm saying? The show is kind of answered that, but not really. So it should be interesting to see if the show ever gets around in that. You can guarantee that whatever Gambrod game coming out, you know what happens in there, and whatever toys they got, but will it happen in the show? Who knows? Who knows? So, we are in a brave new world in Chapter 2 of Kamen Rider XA. So let's see how things heat up. Again, I do want to say one more time, man, rest in power to Kujo Kiryu, aka Bakuso Bike Man. Thank you for showing that God is the guy, because he straight no-sold everything you did to him. And that was kind of sick. So I just wanted to say that. So, rest in power, Bakuso Bike Man. The plot may bring you back if it deems so, and if not, you should probably stay dead for the sake of the plot, you know, being continuous and making sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get out of here. Got the new Naruto joint up, man. A whole bunch of talk about Double Dragon 4. More stuff coming. Just things. So just stay tuned. Do yourself a favor and stay tuned. Was there anything else? Oh yeah, something about maybe that the guy should have rather kicked that kid to death. Something about Christmas and a cake and more cake, and the whole other mystery of Poppy being a Buckster? Now that's a real question. These answers and more as we continue our quest to clear Kamen Rider XA. With that being said, I am of course the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And again, I'd like to thank you for joining me for another episode of Triple the Guy Speaks On. And with that, see you next game.